Let's talk about user interface design. It's that invisible force that makes some apps feel amazing and others feel, well, completely broken. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at the simple rules that separate the apps you actually love from the ones you just put up with.
Oh, you've been there, right? We all have. Tapping on your screen, getting more and more frustrated, just wondering, where is the button? Or, why isn't this doing what I want it to do? Look, that feeling, that's not on you. That is a total failure of design, plain and simple.
So, what's really going on here? Why do some apps make us so angry? Well, that digital rage you feel isn't just random bad luck. Nope. It's usually a direct result of a few really common and honestly, totally avoidable design mistakes. Let's dig into what those are.
Yeah, this probably looks familiar. This kind of chaos happens when an app is filled with confusing jargon, when the controls are hidden or just don't make sense, or when the layout seems to change every time you open it. It just breaks your trust and leaves you feeling completely lost. But the number one sin in all of design is making you stop and ask, what am I even supposed to do now?
Okay, so a huge part of the challenge for designers is that they aren't building an app for just one kind of person. They have to create something that works perfectly for a total beginner and for a seasoned pro who's been using it for years.
So on one hand, you've got the novice user. They just want to get in, do one thing, and get out. For them, it has to be dead simple. But on the other hand, you have the expert user. This person practically lives inside the app, and they demand speed, power, and all the shortcuts. Trying to design for both of them at the same time, that is the ultimate balancing act.
So how on earth do designers solve this puzzle? Well, it's not about just guessing and hoping for the best. Good designers follow a really clear set of rules. You could almost call them commandments that put the user at the absolute center of every single decision they make.
And here they are, the 4 big ones. Do you see the pattern here? It's all about the user, the user, the user. You have to understand them, you have to involve them, and you have to test with them. And that 4th one, it's so important. Great design is never done. It's a constant loop of tweaking and refining based on how real people actually behave. If you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. A good interface is like a friendly guide who's always right there with you, quietly pointing out your options and showing you where to go next. The second a user gets confused, the design has failed. Confusion is the enemy. In practice, that guidance looks like this. It's all about clear feedback. Good design confirms that your action worked. It tells you why something is taking a long time so you don't start to panic. It even anticipates common mistakes before you can make them. It's all about making the whole experience feel smooth, predictable, and honestly, just reassuring.
But good design isn't just about where the buttons are. The actual words an app uses, its tone, its terminology, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. You got to think of it as the app's dialogue with you. And when we say dialogue, we're not just talking about the words on the screen. It's the whole conversation. It's the sequence of pages, the pop-up messages, the error alerts. Every single piece of communication adds up to create the overall experience. All right, here's a rule that might surprise you, but it is golden. Don't try to be funny or cute. Why? Because humor is super subjective, and it gets misinterpreted so easily. Come on, when you're frustrated and trying to reset your password, the absolute last thing you want is some cutesy error message. In design, clarity will always beat cleverness.
Right. The goal is always to be clear, not clever. You want to use simple, consistent terms. You want to avoid technical computer jargon at all costs. And tell people what to do. Use clear action verbs. This way, you build a dialogue that actually feels helpful, not like the app is talking down to you.
So how does all of this come together in the real world? Well, it is so important to understand that great interfaces aren't just built once. They evolve. They are forged in this constant cycle of creating something, testing it, and then making it better.
And this is what that process looks like. First, designers will map out the entire user journey. Then they build a working model, or what we call a prototype. And then comes the most important part. They put that prototype in front of real people to see where it breaks. They just watch, they listen, and believe me, they take a lot of notes.
And that brings us to the final and most critical step of all. They do it all over again. Based on that feedback from real users, they go back to the drawing board, they refine the design, and they test it again. This loop is exactly why the apps you love feel so effortless. They've been polished over and over by real-world use. So the next time you're using an app and it just feels right, take a second. Think about why. Is the dialogue clear? Does it always show you the very next step? Because you see, recognizing great design is the first step to demanding it everywhere. So think about it. What's one app you use that absolutely nails it?